Hey guys, and welcome back. It has been so long. So first off, I already tried to record this video once, and that was in my car, and unfortunately that didn't work out. I was editing the footage and I wasn't even too far into it, fortunately, and I noticed that whenever I'd stop or come to a red light, stop sign, whichever, the footage would shake really badly. So here I am. I'm filming this video all over again, but I kind of didn't like the quality or the position or really anything else about my other attempt. So here I am in my bedroom using a lighting kit that Joe got me for my birthday. Now, if you are interested in this lighting kit, I'll be more than happy to leave a link in the description. This is the first time I've used it, and so far it's great. I'm actually able to use one of the lighting kit mounts as a tripod because I could not find my tripod. I'm going to insert the footage from Charlie's 2-week appointment. Just roll the clip. So we are here at Charlie's 2-week checkup. I am a little concerned because she still looks kind of yellow to me, and she still sleeps a lot, like a lot. But I don't think anything's wrong. I just think it's kind of a residual bilirubin thing, so I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, I don't think you can tell on camera, but she does look yellow to me in person. There, you can kind of tell here. The camera looks even more yellow. She still sleeps a lot. Aww. So we'll see what's normal today. Wasn't she cute? Okay, so that's totally a weird approach. Y'all know I'm not really... Yeah, anyway. So this video is my labor and delivery story. So first off, I went to my midwife clinic for, I think, my 38-week appointment. And while I was there, I told them about some issues that I was having because I'd been feeling this kind of leaking sensation for about a week off and on, but I wasn't sure because I know basically that I do have some incontinence due to my pregnancies and stuff. So I kind of chalked it up to that. It happened one time when I was sitting up. It happened for the second time when I woke up in the middle of the night to go pee. As soon as I woke up, I kind of felt something, and it wasn't a lot or anything like that, just very little, as if I woke up and tried to start peeing. So I wasn't sure, and then I also had told her that Charlie wasn't moving around as much, and I figured that may be normal because she has her days where she's lazy. So then she was like, well, how about we send you to get an ST just to be on the safe side and monitor and check your fluid levels. So I said okay. I kind of thought nothing of it. Charlotte seemed like she was really comfortable in there, so no, I don't know. I wasn't worried about it. So I get there, and it's a long walk for somebody as pregnant as I was. When I get there, they bring me in, lay me down, give me some apple juice, I think, and we start checking. Before they even hooked me up, the first thing we did was the ultrasound. And heartbeat was there, everything was good, but she had what looked to be less than 2 centimeters or milliunits of fluid. They found 2 pockets. One had her umbilical cord in it, and the other one was just a pocket right by her face. So they said they needed to admit me because the fact that I had low fluid was a concern. Now, we had opted to do a TOLAC, which is a trial of labor after cesarean, / VBAC, which is a vaginal birth after cesarean. Because, for those who don't know, I did have to have an emergency C-section with my last daughter. And I don't think I've ever shared her labor and delivery story, so I need to eventually share hers because hers was also quite unique to me. I mean, well, so I let Joe know he wasn't with me because it cut off. He wasn't with me because we have 5 children here and Charlotte's baby number 6. So, and speaking of children, they're all downstairs with him and he's still recovering from a broken leg. Yeah, talk about that in another video. That made the last 2 months of my pregnancy a lot harder. But he's doing great now, so no worries. So Joe found somebody who could watch the kids, so he was able to come up to the hospital, and I told him don't worry about it, that's kind of a long process. They gave me 2 IVs, one in both arms. The first one was here and the other one was here, and this one sucked and ended up being completely useless because I was high risk for hemorrhaging after birth. And there's also kind of the risk with someone who's had a cesarean of what's called uterine rupture. It can occur pretty much at any point in your pregnancy, especially if, now don't quote me on this part, but especially if the baby's placenta roots in the scar. Now I'm not sure if that's a fact. I do know that that can be problematic because then the roots of the placenta, which is just what I'm calling it, because I'm not sure if that's what it's called or not, can actually go through the uterine wall and like root itself into the bladder, which could require surgery and cause hemorrhaging and all kinds of stuff. So I definitely had a lot of risks. And I knew this going in. I was totally prepared for all the risks, but I wasn't expecting for things to go pretty well how they did. They went ahead and they let me eat. I met with the anesthesiologist. I got to meet with my midwife for the night, my nurse, all that. They kind of explained to me basically that this could be a long process. Now, I had to have an emergency C-section with Aria because my cervix wouldn't open. I'd had a leak procedure done back in 2013, so the scar tissue left over from that would not allow my cervix to open on its own, and so we had to go with the emergency C-section route because of that. Well, this time they were fully aware of that and everything, and we had a plan in place and were prepared. So after I got to eat, they put me on Pitocin. Pitocin definitely took a while. I think for the last few hours before my epidural, I was given fentanyl to help manage the contractions. And finally, I was dilated enough. So I had to have a dilation balloon put in, but in order for that to happen, my cervix had to be open enough. And basically what it does is it creates pressure because there's a balloon on the inside of the uterus, or of the cervix, and there's a balloon on the outside of the cervix. And what it does, it kind of squeezes the cervix, causing pressure, helping the scar tissue to give and open so that the baby can come out vaginally. This balloon was uncomfortable. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it was uncomfortable. It being placed in sucked. So a few hours goes by and the balloon can actually come out. So pulled it out and I was surprised. They blew the balloon up like a lot. I'm not gonna get all graphic about it, but so then they took that out and I got the epidural and I went to sleep for the last few hours. So fast forward to 9 o'clock in the morning. Before I go any further, another interruption. I know y'all love these. Joe's grandmother decided to fly out here. So Joe was able to be with me when she was born, and he brought his grandmother up to the hospital to meet Charlotte. And honestly, having her help here was amazing. She was so sweet. She helped to kind of catch up on all the stuff I'd been slacking on. Primarily being so pregnant and Joe's leg being broken and all the rules and restrictions and stuff that we kind of have in place at the moment, which another time, another place. She was here and she watched the kids for us because we were in the hospital for a while. So 9 o'clock comes and I feel the urge to push. So I called him and I said, you need to get here, it's time. Now, she lives 20 minutes away, so yeah, imagine that. I managed to hold her in, and the midwives and everybody. I told them I had to push, and I said, but I want to wait until my fiance gets here. Is there any way that that's safe? Is it okay? And they said, well, we'll keep monitoring baby, and as long as her vitals are good, we don't see any reason why you can't. So he walked in, and once he sat down and got all comfortable, it's like, okay, I'm ready to push. So they told me, well, feel free to. When they checked me, by the way, at 9 o'clock, I was at 9.5 centimeters. So I did have kind of a little extra time anyhow. By the time he got there, it was definitely more than ready. In fact, she was already kind of coming out on her own. I pushed her out, and I'm going to say 4 pushes, and then I was able to help them get the placenta out when it detached, and then that's when it got worse. Joe was all excited, so he'd already taken a picture, I think. And the doctors were like, you might want to wait on letting people know because she's hemorrhaging. So I don't even know, honestly, what she's doing at this point. I just feel gush after gush after gush of blood. So I'm starting to freak out because this is going on a while, and they're talking about surgery, and they're talking about a hysterectomy, and they're talking about blood transfusions. They're giving me shot after shot after shot after IV injection. There were so many people in my room. The radiologist was probably the sweetest man ever. And he was like, okay, I'm just giving you this. I'm just doing this. You're going to feel a little funny at this. Then I started throwing up. And it was so much. I had literally the midwife who was in charge at the time look me dead in the eye and say, I'm going to save your life today. You don't realize how scary that is to hear until they're looking at you with this no joke, God, I don't even know how to say it all. Looking at you with this no joke, totally sincere, concerned, like, I'm going to save your life today. And that's when it truly hit me. This is very serious. And they're measuring the blood every so often, and I got up to 2,000 milliliters. I can't remember which term that they used for it, because I know the Pitocin was given in milliunits, or the epidural was, something was. So I'm not sure how exactly they were, or what term they used to describe it. They ended up not having to send me to radiology to get the blood vessels clamped or whatever, cut off. I don't know. They did not have to give me a hysterectomy. They did not have to give me a blood transfusion. I'm not kidding. It was so many shots, and the shots kept happening after this. So what they managed to do was they put in a Bakri balloon and put the word right here. So they put in a Bakri balloon, and that applies pressure basically to my uterus. I don't know, it's like super inflated or something. You would have to look it up. Personally, I have not looked it up. But them constantly coming in every few hours and checking it afterwards sucked. And they said it had to be in for at least 12 hours. And that thing was so uncomfortable. It was probably the worst thing that I've ever had done. And I was counting down the time. They even transferred me by wheelchair from the labor and delivery room to the mother-baby unit. And even that really freaking sucked, because I had to get out of bed with the giant catheter and this Bakri balloon down there and sit in a wheelchair long enough to go to another unit, and all they gave me for the pain, for how uncomfortable it was not enough. Then they came in later that night and said, mind you, I've been counting down the minutes. We're not going to take it out until the morning. And I wanted to cry. That was the worst thing I'd ever heard. It was probably 11 o'clock at this point, because Charlotte was born at 10:13 a.m. on October 3rd. They didn't take it out till about 4 or 5:30 in the morning. I was not having it. That was not my thing. I decided to scoot back a little because my legs were going numb. After they took that out, it was pretty well smooth sailing. They kept coming back to check my blood for my iron levels, and my blood just wasn't getting better. In fact, after it had improved some, it got worse. And then since I got discharged, we actually checked again on Friday, and it's gotten worse still, but some of it has improved. It affected me breastfeeding at first because my milk just wasn't coming in, and then it came in, and then I had a lactation consultant say that I was producing too much and that I needed to stop pumping, and I did, and now I'm struggling to produce it all. And I think that's because my iron's still bad and my water intake sucks. I can't seem to hydrate myself. Charlotte is now 3 weeks old, and she's doing so well. She's starting to kind of get into a routine here and there. Usually at night, if I breastfeed her on one side, she falls asleep, I go to put her down. And I put her down knowing that it will wake her back up, because nothing else I do works. Sitting her up doesn't work. Trying to burp her doesn't work. So I have to lay her down. And that works. And I think it's because the whole time I had the Valkyrie balloon in, I held on to her because having her in my arms made the pain manageable. So I just think that she's more comfortable in my arms. So I gotta put her down to wake her up. Diaper changes sometimes works, and letting her cry for a minute before I feed her also works to wake her up, but holding her does not. Trying to sit her up does not. I gotta put her down. Aside from that, the only real bit of news was that Charlotte did have jaundice. And I asked them to check her the day that she was born, and they told me there was no need to. Just because I have a history of it doesn't mean that the baby's going to have it. And so by the time they checked her at almost 24 hours old, her bilirubin levels were 14.2. And then, so we started the Billy lights, and a couple hours later, her bilirubin levels were 14.9. That did, of course, go down, but she was under the Billy lights for about 3 days in total, time-wise. We did have her off the whole night. We were getting ready to go home with her. They were discharging me. And then when we were ready to go home, they came in to check her Billy levels again. And the night before they were at 9.3, so they had dropped a lot, and I think that was 72 hours old. And then they came back before they were getting ready to discharge us and said that her bilirubin levels jumped back up to a 12.9. So they had to put her back under the lights. Fast forward again, now at 92 hours old, they checked again, and it was low risk enough for her age to send her home. Plus we had a doctor's appointment the next day, so they felt comfortable with it, and they discharged us. We went to her appointment the next day, and her bilirubin levels were still good. So that's pretty much it for my labor and delivery story. Alright guys, so hopefully I didn't bore you to death or something. But yeah, that is my real birth experience, labor and delivery story. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, feel free to leave them down below. I'm sure there are topics that I did not talk about, that I did not press upon, that maybe you just are curious to know. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you've hit that little red button down there and have subscribed so that you can come back for some actual vlogs, just not me talking your ear off. Alright, bye guys. Oh my gosh, this thing like slid up so far in my hair. Let's look at that thing. Okay. What else is new? Oh, that just made it messier. Okay. Let's get started.